one of the big media companies I work for here, it's just, I just feel like I'm just making money for shareholders
Mm.
wherever they are.
Mm.
And I'm barely making a living from it. And it's really annoying. Substack, we make the money, and from our work and our experience and our talent.
Hello and welcome to The Content Bite, a podcast for freelancers who use their words to make money. I'm Rachel Smith, a freelance journalist, copywriter and content producer. I'm also the founder of Rachel's List, a jobs board and community for Australian writers and other creatives.
And I'm Lynne Testoni. I'm a journalist and content writer as well. Rachel and I are your weekly co-hosts, and every week we bring you all kinds of tips, tricks and some fabulous guests to help you make the most of your freelance business.
I used spreadsheets for 15 years, but as my business got more complicated, I needed something more. And Rounded was the accounting software that converted me. It helped simplify a tax time while still letting me take ownership of what goes on in my freelance business. Gold members of Rachel's List can save 20% on an annual Rounded plan, so see the show notes for details.
Hi Rach, I am so excited about our guest today. She's one of my writing heroes and she's building a really strong following in business on Substack, which is an area we get lots of questions about.
We definitely do. I think we were even talking about trying to do something when we were doing the summit, and it's just moved on so much from then, hasn't it? It's definitely a great opportunity for writers to be on Substack, and some people are saying it's the future, especially as we see this kind of continual decline in work through more traditional media.
Exactly. So we have Maggie Alderson on today.
Woohoo!
Yeah, very exciting. So Maggie is a journalist, editor, novelist and a very keen Substacker. She started a career in the 80s on women's magazines. I mean, I was in women's magazines in the 80s. They were the glory days, and if only we knew it at the time.
Yeah.
But she eventually became editor of British Elle, and she was an acting editor of Clio. She also worked on the Evening Standard, the Sydney Morning Herald and the London Telegraph as a section editor and a reporter. And as a freelancer, she's worked for magazines in the UK, the US and Australia. And she's had several newspaper and magazine columns, including Style Notes, which ran in the Good Weekend for 15 years. And oh my goodness, I love that column. She's written 10 novels, 1 children's book, and published 4 collections of columns. And she now lives in Hastings, which sounds lovely, on England's south coast.
Wow. Maggie, Hastings, that is where my in-laws used to live.
Look at that.
Actually, they were in Bexhill-on-Sea. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Lovely.
that's the next
So
next
very,
time along the coast.
yeah. But just such an interesting career you've had. So welcome. We're so pleased to have you.
Welcome.
I'm very excited to be here. Thank you for asking me.
I love that you've turned Substack into a money earner. It's very funny. It's lots of hot takes on there. Can you share a bit of your experience with the Substack platform and how long you've been doing it for?
It'll be 3 years ago in September, and I did it as a free platform, like a blog. I've done blogging before on WordPress, a degree of success, but as I think many of us discovered, you can't make money from a blog unless
No.
you've got something to sell, either a product or a course or something, or your own soul. That was the other way. I didn't have any of those things for sale. So I did start thinking, what is the point of blogging? I'm giving it away for nothing. So Substack, brilliant. You know, the opportunity to do the thing I like to do probably most in the world, which is to write and communicate with people and hopefully get some money for it. But I did it for free for a year, just to sort of test the waters. And then when I felt I had enough connection, I went paid, and it's gone really well, and I'm really loving it. That's the main thing about Substack for me. Obviously, it's very nice to make money from writing again, because it's become increasingly difficult to do that on the so-called mainstream media. But I love the process of it.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Do you think that your writing is different with Substack? Is it a more personal medium? Or do you think because you've always done sort of columns that it's a bit more personal in tone anyway?
It's very much the column level of personal and the most wonderful thing, what I want to write.
Yeah.
And I've written I have to say, to my shame, I've written quite a lot for the Daily Mail in this country because they're the only place that still pay well. I've actually stopped writing for them now. And it's a nightmare. They ask you to write something and you write it and they say, "Oh, this is great, thank you." But then they make you rewrite it. Then they make you rewrite it again. And they keep asking you to put these things in it which are nothing to do with your lived experience and which you don't actually think. And until the end, something comes out with your name on it that's got nothing to do with you. And the worst experience of all, everyone I know who's written for Daily Mail has had this experience. They just completely rewrite it.
Oh, yuck.
And your name's on it. So after years of that, to be able to write what I want to write, how I want to write it, when I want to write it, as long as I want it to be, keeping in all the best jokes, is heaven. It's really
Yes.
heaven.
Amazing. I know you mentioned that you had a year where you kind of got to grips with the platform and then you decided to monetize it or switch on the button for people to pay a monthly fee. I'm just thinking of the freelancers who might be thinking of starting a Substack. What would they need to understand, and how do you know how to price it, and when is the right time to actually go to that monetization stage?
I think the price point is really important. And when I started off, mine was £8. That's probably about $15. And I dropped my price to £5, $10, and I got a lot more subscribers. I think it's really good not to be greedy. And in my experience, keeping your price on the lower side will help you grow faster. As for when to go paid, I think you'll kind of know. You're building. I can't remember how many free subscribers I had when I decided to go paid, but I had a great connection with them. And that's the other thing I love about Substack is the direct communication with the reader. And I tend to ask a question at the end of each post to try and encourage that chat. And it's something that other Substackers that I know and some of the big ones also say is that a lot of the joy is in the chatting. And other Substacks that I follow where there's this real sense of community in the comments, almost like on artist formerly known as Twitter, where you kind of made friends through comments. And I love that because on newspaper comments, you just tend to get loonies.
Yes.
And
Well, on the Daily Mail you do.
oh, Lord, even in the Telegraph, it's you get these absolute hideous people who have got nothing better to do than be horrible to poor little writers. So I saw somebody posted this recently on Notes that they'd never had a negative experience on Substack.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
There's
nice,
nice
isn't it?
community.
Like that. Because I do remember the early days of Twitter. The early days of Twitter was absolute heaven. It was like being at the biggest cocktail party in the world, and you could chat to anyone. I mean, I got a reply once from RuPaul.
Yes.
Ooh.
Of my life. And other famous people, and it was the actual person. It wasn't, someone pretending to be.
Publicist or something. Yeah.
And there were other people who weren't famous that I became friends with. One of them was I don't know whether you'll remember the British Eurovision entrant Mary Hopkin, who wrote
No.
the song Where Do You Go to My Lovely? We became friends. She's lovely. Twitter and Substack is at the moment, and I'm praying that the trolls don't get on it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think probably if you're in the more political side of things, I'm sure the trolls are there, but so far they haven't invaded my area.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Do you get a lot of data about, I guess you're talking about comments. Do you get data about who's reading it and see how your audience is growing or where they're from, that sort of stuff?
That side of Substack does my head in. I find it's as I said before, if you've blogged, the actual posting side of it's a cinch. That's really easy. Although there is this weird difference. The app and the online portal is so different.
Yeah.
And I just do it all on my main computer. I'm not going to fiddle around and I find that confusing. And just yesterday, because a friend of mine posted that she'd, she was in bestsellers for, I think for fashion and style or something. And I have been, sometimes I have had these notifications that you're number 5 and growing in fiction, or, you're at this level in fashion and style, which is great. But it's very random and very hard to find on the site. So I find that side of it really confusing. And I only look at my number of paid subscribers once a week. I don't
Yeah.
allow myself to keep checking because you could go mad. And
Mm.
I do find that, like, I get a new subscriber and then somebody unsubscribes, and it is painful when you get this email saying, X has unsubscribed. You think, why?
Yeah.
Sometimes people send a little note, which is so nice. One woman sent me such a lovely note about why she was unsubscribing, that I gifted her a free year's subscription. Just that was one up, by the way. Please don't I don't want anyone to your free subscription. It was the way she did it was just so thoughtful and kind, because getting these anonymous unsubscriptions, you just think, oh, what have I done? However, I regularly check how many Substacks I subscribe to, because £5 a month there, £8 a month there, it does add up. And
Yeah.
I try only to subscribe to about 6 at a time.
Mm.
And sometimes I need to switch them up.
Mm.
So I do now always send a little note saying why.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice.
Mm.
I know I like that when someone unsubscribes from Rachel's list and they tell me why. It's just
Yeah.
nice to
Yeah, and it can be helpful. Mostly it's people just saying, I'm subscribing to too many, or I'm just switching things up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know you had a great profile before you started the Substack. Do you feel like your fans from the book world followed you to Substack, or are you seeing a whole new sort of legion of fans that maybe you don't know, maybe whether
It's a mixture. Well, sometimes people tell me, and
Yeah.
I have to say, I think that the column I had in Good Weekend has brought me a lot of followers, and I
Mm.
get these really lovely messages from people saying, "Oh, I loved your column. I was so sad when it ended. Now I feel like I've got it," and is what I tried to do when I started Style Notes, and I think it's even in my mission statement thing where I say I'm trying, to do that column again. But also other social media platforms.
Yeah.
But probably most of my British, for the column, that column did run in the Times for a while, so I have a bit of a profile from that in the UK as well. Some people say they remember that, which is lovely. But I think posts on Instagram, people who follow me on Instagram are picking it up as well. But it's a funny thing with Instagram. Since I've become paid, I found that when I post, because they send you all these assets to use on social media, and whenever I always think, oh, I really should do that. They're not, when it's for a paid post, those are not popular posts. I don't get many likes. And generally I get a lot of likes on Instagram. But when I do a Substack promotion for a paid post, I don't get many likes. So I pretty much only post them on Substack now when it's a free post. Like I did a free post yesterday about growing my booty through going to the
I
gym.
read that.
Yes, so did I. So you've done a few free posts here and there, which is how I first found you on Substack. So is that part of your sort of marketing idea?
Oh, that is essential, but it's a really fine balance. Whenever I do a free post, I get a little flurry of new subscribers. So it's really important to do it. On the other hand, you don't want to piss off your loyal paid subscriber, because they're going to think, well, she's giving it away for nothing. Why am I paying $8 a month? So it's a really fine balance. One of the big Substackers here does a free post once a week, which seems to work for her, but it's much less meaty than her paid posts are. So you do get value for money from being a paid subscriber to her, but I don't want to do two tiers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I do a free post, it's the full Monty, just to
Mm.
give people an idea of
Yeah.
what they get if they give me a little tiny bit of money every month.
Mm.
Because what we do here, we talked a little bit about it before, but the Substack is well known for having a lovely community, and that people within that Substack community support each other, and writers are really promote each other. Now, you were talking before we started about that in the UK they do sort of Substack events with some of their leading people. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, they're really great. And one of the things that I do is whenever I meet fellow Substacks at those things, we swap free subscriptions. And I also do that with people that I've followed or they followed me. We chat a bit on this platform, swap free subscriptions. And a publisher said to me many years ago that she said successful authors are generous with their books. And I believe in being generous with my Substack. So anyone else who I think's interesting, like there's a great British Substacker called Polly Vernon. She's a brilliant journalist and columnist. I've loved her writing for years. I've never met her, although we have a lot of mutuals in the industry. And through chatting on comments, Polly and I have now swapped free subscriptions, which is just so nice. And we always comment on each other's posts, and we will, repost each other's things. That's a big part of what I love about it. And some of the people that I meet, to go back to those Substack events, are completely different. The last one I went to, the one at Christmas, I met this really nice woman, because I just go up and talk to anyone. What do you do at Substack? It's fascinating how different they all are. This
Yeah.
woman is a children's book illustrator, and she has a kind of art group on it. And once a week at a set time, they get together, she sets a project, and people do their drawings. And then the next post, she shows her favorites and talks about, what works about them. And she's got a really big following. And so we've swapped subscriptions. And I bumped into a writer that I've met many years ago who contributed to one of the charity anthologies that I've done over the years, and she does a really successful one about writing fiction. She's a very successful historical novelist, and it's very, very specialist about writing fiction. And again, we swapped. And I met a couple that do one together, and their subject was they are professional fundraisers. They work in the charity sector, raising funds, and their Substack is very, very niche.
Mm.
So what's one of the things I find fascinating about going to those events is just because Substack is a universe, like Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. They're massive, massive universes with millions of different interest groups. Just to sidetrack, one night when I was briefly addicted to TikTok, I found this thing where women carve soap.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was watching it for a couple of hours. It's mesmerizing. Like that, the weird sounds thing, and people eating. I mean, there's just all these insane universes within the universe, and
Yeah.
Substack is also like that.
Yeah.
And then I would say that I'm in a more general journalistic area.
Yeah. Mm. So how much time are you spending on your Substack, and what other kind of writing do you do? And how much does your Substack supplement your income and keep you in front of other people? Sorry, that was 4 questions in one question.
So how long do I spend? I could happily do nothing else.
Yeah.
And I'm beginning to think that maybe that's what I should do, is just do Substack.
Right.
Because I enjoy it so much. I feel stimulated by it because it's new and interesting, and it has all kinds of possibilities. Some people sort of take their written Substacks out into like more of the podcast zone, and that people do lives. I've never done a live. And that's, and I've got all those areas to explore. And I'm beginning to think that that's what I should be doing with my time. I'm doing less and less for mainstream media. And frankly, it's getting in the way of my Substacking.
Interesting.
I chat a lot to old friends who've been in magazines and newspapers as long as me, and we all feel the same, that we've been sort of left out to dry by the big media groups. I mean, some are not so bad. I would do anything for Good Weekend that they asked me, and there's a few places in the UK that still seem to respect writers. Good Weekend definitely respects writers, which I was really grateful for. But some of them now, they're run by accountants, and they do not respect writers. We're just cannon fodder, as far as I can tell, and it's
Yeah.
beginning to piss me off.
Yeah.
It's interesting. There is a story, and I don't know if it's apocryphal or not, but there was one of the writers, I think, from the Wall Street Journal that was made redundant, as many have been. And he set up his own Substack and now earns 3 times as much money writing better columns.
Yeah.
That he, without that sort of overlord, that Jeff Bezos overlord, and it's much better. And he does better.
Yeah, well, I'm not making 3 times, but I make what I'm making from Substack is a really useful supplement to my income, and I think I could, if I do commit myself just to Substack, I think I could grow it more, and I think that's what I'm going to do, because one of the big media companies I work for here, it's just I just feel like I'm just making money for shareholders wherever they are. And I'm barely making a living from it. And it's really annoying. Substack, we make the money, and from our work and our experience and our talent. And one of the events I went to here, the founder of Substack was there, and I ran up, practically kissed his feet, and just said, "Thank you, thank you," as a journalist of 40 years, for understanding that we need to be paid for what we do, just like you pay a plumber.
Yeah. Interesting.
Not being precious that, oh, I'm an author and I need to be, respected. Anyone who does a job of work that people benefit from in whatever way, whether it's having your sink unblocked or reading something that informs you, entertains you, and interests you, should be paid for their work. It's as simple as that. And that's what Substack are giving us back.
That's
Yeah.
so interesting. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about fashion because I love fashion. Maybe that's why I've always loved your columns about clothes and clever buys. You're really passionate about it. How has that played into your work? And has that changed? Because fashion has changed too. The fast fashion, does that influence you?
Yeah, it makes me not buy any new clothes anymore, hardly. This is one of about 4 new things I bought this year. I don't really buy new clothes anymore. We have this thing in the UK called Vinted. There are other
Oh,
platforms
yes.
in Australia for exchanging secondhand clothes, and a lot of my friends buy pretty much all our clothes on there. I used to be an op shop fanatic, but op shop's been very affected by the online secondhand trend. So
Yeah.
that's such good stuff anymore. But I am passionate about clothing. It's in my DNA. My grandmother, my mother's side, was a bespoke dressmaker in London in the 1920s,
Wow.
30s, and 40s.
Mm.
She made clothes for society ladies. Mrs. Keppel was one of her clients. So I grew up with it. There was always fabric being felt and button boxes. And there was a whole toolboy on our landing at home that was full of dress patterns and fabric and buttons and braids and lace. So it's all the women in my family are obsessed. My daughter is the same. And you think about clothes, they're not just what we wear. It's the every outfit is a story. It tells you about the time the person is living in. It tells you their story. I'm fascinated by the history of fashion, which from even as a child, I was obsessed with it. And why particular clothes were in fashion at particular times, what it says about the sociology, the history, the mores of the time. And when I used to write about designer fashion, both in the UK and for the Australian newspapers, that was what the context was what fascinated me, and how something that you'd see on a runway, like the famous Devil Wears Prada blue jumper speech, trickles down and ends up
in the high street.
Yeah. What is it about that thing? Why do we want to wear that now? I find it fascinating. I'm obsessed.
You said that you were surrounded by it as a child. Do you happen to know that little kid on Instagram who's a fashion designer?
Yeah.
I forget his name. It just escapes me. But it's so funny watching him. He's like a little fashion genius.
He's adorable. There's also a little boy that cooks. I don't know whether you've seen it. I love little kids. It's a lovely little boy. He's about 5 and he cooks.
Yeah.
He's adorable too. But yeah, the little fashion designer, I think he is genuinely talented.
Yeah.
And it's so lovely to see him able to express it. Because I remember, the hat designer Philip Treacy. Amazing interview with him. And when he was a little boy growing up in the country in Ireland, he wasn't allowed near the sewing machine because that wasn't for boys. And there was one day a week when all his family would go off to the market town or something, and he would scurry in to get his mother's sewing machine out, have a little sew, and he'd have to put it all away again and hide it. It was heartbreaking. So to see that young chap able to embrace it, he's done a runway show.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. It's amazing.
I love you talking about fashion, because one of the things I feel is that good fashion journalism isn't around as much anymore. A lot of the fashion magazines, because of the climate and they're struggling, it's more about the advertisers than actual fashion. It's more about being rich rather than dressing well.
Also, on the UK Vogue, I find very strange online. The actual magazine is okay. It's not as good as it used to be, but it's okay. But online, it's all these young women talking about how they wear track pants to the office and showing all these. I know. I suppose it's not my time. They're Gen Z, and that's what they wear. But I want Vogue to be better than me.
Yes.
I need to see impossibly beautiful people wearing ridiculously expensive clothes. And I want to believe, although I know it's a fantasy because they became my friends, that all the women that work in the offices also look like that. I need that fantasy.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
the top part of fashion is whipped up like a meringue. It is, or a bubble that can just burst with a finger. It is at a certain level a big beat up.
Yeah.
But that's the joy is in the fantasy.
It wasn't a fantasy in Australia at Bauer Media. I used to stress every morning getting dressed when I was working in-house. And, kitten heels would all clump past you with their little... I would just think, oh, gosh, I look terrible.
No, I bet you look great because you made an effort. It was the same where I worked. When I was editor of Elle, it was amazing because the fashion stylists on British Elle in the early 90s were amazing. And I would sit in my office and looking directly at where they would walk in. Of course, they always came in after me. And every day it was like seeing a fashion show. What they came, I was like, okay, what's Debbie going to be wearing today? And it was really amazing.
Yeah.
Because they were the trend setters. I mean, fashion designers got ideas from those women. In fact, Debbie Mason, I just mentioned, she was the first person to put Gucci loafers on a woman.
Oh, wow.
Models, are tall. They have quite big feet. So she was able to buy smallest size of men's Gucci loafers. Which Debbie wore, and then she started putting them in fashion shoots, and then Gucci started making them in smaller sizes.
Wow. Oh, so much fun. Those were the days.
They were.
I'd love to talk about your novels too, because 10, I had no idea you'd done so many. I've read a couple in the past, and I think Rach said how much she loved them. What's that been like? Did they come about organically, and how have they been in terms of sales and income?
I've always wanted to be a novelist since I was about 6 years old. That was always my lifelong ambition. And like many of us, I was, terrified to try, because if I tried, then, I might fail. But I did also, at a certain age, I started reading magazines and newspapers and became obsessed by them. So then I wanted to be a journalist more, but I did always want to write a novel. It was always there. But I kept, just didn't have the confidence to try. And then the urge was getting stronger and stronger. And I went to Sydney Uni and I did an evening course in creative writing. Because although had by that stage been a journalist for 20 years, I hadn't written fiction and I knew it was different. And I had seen novels, read novels by journalists, successful journalists, and they weren't any good. And I thought that this is a completely different medium I've got, and I need to learn it. And people were saying to me, "Yeah, you're a professional writer. Why are you doing a course?" And because it's different, and it was brilliant. I learnt so much from that course. I wish I could remember the teacher's name. She was great, and she gave us a really good book list of books to read, which were incredibly helpful. And just the things like, what tense are you going to use? And the most important thing, what point of view are you going to use? Is it going to be I or she? And how many points of view? Is it one point of view or is it multiple points? All of that stuff you have to decide before you start. And then that gave me the impetus to get going. And I was fortunate because that was when my Good Weekend column was in its full swing. So publishers knew my name and were willing to see me, and I got a deal. So that was a great advantage. I love writing novels. It's the most wonderful flume ride because I don't plan my books. You're either a planner or a pantser.
You're a pantser.
I'm a pantser every way in
Designer
life.
pantser.
I'm a pantser and proud. I have a theme that I want. Each one had a theme. I've had drug addiction. I've had abusive relationships. And the last one I did, she's a widow. My heroine discovers she's a widow and also a betrayed wife within an hour of each other. So she's like,
great.
well, what am I a betrayed wife or am I a widow? What is my role here?
Yeah.
That idea just came to me out of the blue one day. And so I have the idea I want to explore, and then I find a job for when my lead character is always a woman, and I give her a profession to work within, which tends to be in the creative area because that's what I know. That one, she was a food stylist for cookbook shoots, because I know a few of those. And then I just set off. I know there's always going to be a happy ending. I always have happy endings. But it's how do they get there, and what do they, what the different machinations they go through. And I love doing it, but boy, is it a lot of work. And like mainstream media, in the 20 years that I've been writing books, 20 years plus now, the publishing industry has changed. And as I said earlier, you no longer make nearly as much, you barely make a living wage as a novelist now. We get royalties are much lower than they used to be. So it's a lot of work for less money. But I love doing it. I really, really love doing it. And I would say to anyone who wants to write a novel, do it, if for nothing else, for the experience of doing it. Even if it never gets published, it's an amazing experience. And you get to know your brain in a new way. And I got to respect the human brain because, as I said, I don't plan how the plot's going to work out, but my brain, it doesn't happen up here. It doesn't happen oh, should she be wearing a red dress or a yellow dress area here? It happens down here. Writing away, thinking, oh God, how's she going to find out about that? And then you go, oh yeah, of course. She sees, oh yeah, that Instagram that they shouldn't have put up. She sees it before they delete it. And you just, and it work, your brain, quite often I'll be a bit stuck about something and I'll go out for a walk. I'll be halfway down the street and the solution has pinged into my brain. And it's so, that is an amazing thing to experience. So I would say the worst reason to start writing a book is because you want to have an international bestseller. I can't think of a and that was the thing. A lot of journalists who were writing books, particularly in the 80s and 90s, wanted to be Shirley Conran and have an international bestseller. Do it because you absolutely have to. And you love books and you want to give that pleasure that you've had from other people's books to other people. And for the sheer joy, I mean, the sheer joy of inventing characters, I can't tell you, it's the best fun, especially if you're a journalist and you have to stick to the facts and you have to stick to the quotes. In fact, you can make it. It's
You
so
don't have
fun.
to anymore.
That when I had when I first started writing my first novel, I was thinking, oh, I'd quite like them to be this. And I thought, I can't do that. I thought, oh yes, I can.
Oh,
Make them into
nice.
giant lizards if I want to, and that is so fun.
This is
Yeah.
making me want you to get started on your book. Get it out there, your next book. We can't wait.
Sorry, Rachel. I will have. I think I will write another one. I am, in total honesty, slightly working on something, but it's, you know, just publishing landscape has changed a lot, and just as I've had to get used to the way that the magazine world has changed, you know, I'm having to get used to the way books have changed, and like the whole self-publishing thing, which that's, you know, the other area that I think I need to concentrate on is really properly looking into self-publishing, because a good friend of mine who's a great author. One of the things that can happen when you are a published author, and it happened to me and this friend of mine with the same editor, you get taken on as a publisher by one editor, and when they leave, they get a better job, and a new editor comes in. And this happened to me, and I won't say her name, with the same new editor who did us both over because we weren't her author, and she didn't care
Yeah.
about us, wanted us rid of, and she did us both over. I sort of crawled into a corner and licked my wounds, whereas the other person's right. And she self-published. And she did so well with the self-publishing, she got taken up by a new publisher. So I think it's
Interesting.
very important to look into that.
Okay, so you're going to write your new book and you're going to become an even bigger dynamo on Substack. But given there would be lots of writers listening to this and thinking about Substack, what would be your advice to them? What should they consider first?
Yeah, I've been thinking this over, what advice I would give people. And in some ways, it's don't overthink it. I think for me, the Substacks that work come really from the heart of the writer. And I've been analyzing the ones that I follow. I mean, if you are a niche person and you want to read, you know, like those fundraising people, that's a whole different area on Substack. But as your people are, you know, we're all the same gang. We're journalists, we're media people. Those are the ones that I follow, and they are proper professional writers. They're informative and they're entertaining, and they're telling me new stuff. I'm getting ideas, entertainment, information. And if I'm getting an opinion, it's an informed opinion. It's that, you know, it's that professional level. And everyone who I follow is one of those. And that is what I try to be, is, you know, a proper professional journalist on this platform. As to, the subject matter, again, I think it's really important that it's something that's absolutely true to you. Then it will come easily and it will be your best work. Whereas one thing I would advise not to do, and so me and so many people I know have made this mistake, is signing up to one of the people on Substack who are going to show you how to become a successful Substacker. It's a load of nonsense. They're all American, and it's for people who aren't writers and who really are wanting to promote their muffin brand or their car dealership or whatever. It's not for professional writers. So do not waste your time and money with those snake oil salesmen. Instead, really shop around on Substack and read as many different things as you can, even if it's only reading up to the paywall. But most people, even the real biggies, will post free sometimes. And I would just read as broadly as you can and find out, what you enjoy and, what works for you and is working for a lot of other people. I think that will spark you to do your best version of you. And I think if it's really sincere, I think that really comes over in the work. I'll tell you who my favorites are.
Yes.
My number one favorite is a guy called Tom Sykes, who writes about the British royal family, which is not my most subject I'm that interested in. But Tom is such a great journalist. He worked on the Evening Standard just after I did. He's a proper journo, and he's a great writer, and he's really funny, and he has impeccable sources because he's a posho himself. And it's so entertaining what he writes and so insightful. And I just find it so satisfying to read work by a proper journalist who's, he's got contacts and he gets out there.
Right.
And if there are big stories, which at the moment there are, he'll do 3 posts a day.
Oh, wow.
He's of energy. He also does a podcast he does on YouTube. As a video, and he gets really interesting people on there. He got arsehole formerly known as Prince Andrew. He got his on there while that was happening. So that was gripping stuff. So I love Tom Sykes, and his sister is Plum Sykes.
Oh,
who
yes,
used
I
to-
love Plum.
Oh, yeah.
I adore her writing, and she's completely different. She's in the Cotswolds, leading this sort of dreamy life with horses and tweeds and boots, and she's wonderful to look at, but also a great writer. So I call them the Jackson 5 of Substack. And my another favorite is the great Tina Brown.
Yeah, I follow her.
I love her. And then for American politics, I have Michael Wolff, who's the great Trump expert, and he is, I find, again, gripping stuff, insider contacts, great writer. And then Polly Vernon, who I mentioned before. What I love about Polly is I don't agree with her about a lot of stuff. She's really into facial tweakments. She's obsessed with being thin, a word I really don't like. And she writes really controversial stuff, but she writes it so well. It's so interesting, and she's brilliant and engaging in comments. Those are probably my favorites.
There's some wonderful people, and there's new people all the time, aren't there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Maggie, we end the podcast with our fast 3 questions. Are you ready?
Oh, my Lord.
You can do it.
Okay, first question. Favorite tools of the trade you can't live without?
I can't live without a trackpad.
Ah.
I hate mice. I like a trackpad. So with my big computer and my lovely big proper keyboard, because the keyboard on my MacBook really gives me the pip.
So it's hardware. We've never had a trackpad ever.
Good.
Answered as that question. So well done.
And what about question number 2 is a habit that genuinely saves you time?
Give me an example. I don't know if I've got any.
Sometimes people, they might batch content. They might write 3 columns at once. They might take a notebook out and put down notes or save things for later?
Might be a productivity thing that you do.
I don't do anything that thought out. I'm permanently pantsing it.
That's an answer in itself. We'll take it.
Yeah.
Okay. Final question. One thing you wish you'd done sooner in your career?
Starting Substack.
Yeah. If it had existed. Because it's fairly new.
It had existed longer than
Yeah.
3 years ago. I could have got started even sooner.
Yeah.
Probably getting into self-publishing, which I still haven't done actually. That might be a better answer to that.
Yeah.
But I was fairly early with Substack.
That would be very interesting to read about on your Substack. If you go down that route and you want to do a blow by blow of self-publishing,
Yeah.
be good.
It is interesting,
Okay.
isn't it? The
Look
whole
at us
world.
suggesting content for your Substack.
Yeah.
We can't help it.
Oh, Maggie, thank you
Thank
so much
you.
for giving us time. It's been so interesting, and I can imagine I think more people will hopefully follow your Substack, but also tune into the medium anyway. So tell everyone where they can find you. We'll put links in the show notes. Obviously, we'll put the Substack. Where else for your books and things?
Thank you, because that is another thing actually that I've encountered recently with the mainstream media, which is increasingly becoming the bogeyman for me. They won't let you put your Substack at the end of the piece.
Ah.
Because they
Yeah,
feel
they're worried about it being a threat.
Yeah.
So that was really interesting, because if you write a book or something, they'll always let you put a mention, but Substack knows the consequences of that. That was quite interesting. It's been lovely talking to you.
Thank you so much, Maggie. This has been amazing.
Thank you for
Thanks.
Thanks, Maggie. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks again to our wonderful sponsors, Rounded, easy accounting and invoicing software that helps freelancers run their business with confidence.
And don't forget, if you're a gold member of Rachel's List, you can check your welcome emails for an exclusive discount code on the annual subscription rate. You can also find it in the private Facebook Gold group, or just contact us at hello@rachelslist.com.au.